It's clear that there's a real appetite for it. It's also clear that this is something that suppliers want to do, that citizens want, and the technology is there to do it.
We're here in Titanic Quarter. What a great story that was. What a great idea to build this enormous ship. And the dock just down the way here built the Titanic and probably many other ships. The Titanic sank. It's a story we all know, even if we're not from this part of the world. At the same time, we had the Atlantic Ocean with loads of ships and the Pacific Ocean, and there was no route between the two. And a man, a plan, and a canal between the two became the Panama Canal. And a man, a plan, a canal, Panama is a palindrome. It reads the same forwards as backwards. And they built the Panama Canal in 1914, 2 years ahead of plan. I can't quite see broadband doing that quite yet.
It's my pleasure to welcome everybody here this morning from both near and far. It's a pleasure for Titanic Quarter to host this event, and we're very grateful to everybody at Inca for bringing the event here and doing such a great job in organising it. One thing that runs through the whole theme of everything that will go on here is the need and the necessity for connectivity. That has probably come to the fore most recently with the opportunity that has arisen in the old Paint Hall, where we now have HBO making the single largest TV production ever made outside the US, and that starts shooting in July. Financial services is an opportunity that we've seen and hope to develop further. The connected health is a huge opportunity for the province.
When we look at next generation access, we're talking about a number of problems. Firstly, there are some areas of the country that can't even get broadband. The second problem is that there are many areas of the country which, while they have a basic access to broadband, that kind of access is not really fit for purpose for the next few years. And you know, that means that there's a problem because of the lack of future-proofing, and it also means there's a problem in terms of cost, because whichever way you look at it, trying to get a 21st century fibre network is going to cost between 6 and 15 billion pounds. So, as we know, there's been a whole range of different policies and policy documents, from Digital Britain to the new government's policy around broadband delivery, and focusing on encouraging investment and collaboration in a way which really hasn't been able to be demonstrated quite so much to date. And it leads us to begin to think we need to do things a little bit differently. We need to think about real partnerships to develop next generation development, and it's not just about bringing public, private and community together, it's also about how we seed innovation.
Interestingly, the point Dave made earlier on, one of the most exciting aspects of that connection which lands at Port Rush, Strand, it's a real place to go to, is not the way that it goes west, it's where it goes east. It goes east down into Southport and then up the Manchester Ship Canal, which the good people of North England happily built for us with great vision of the future over a century ago, and lands down near Media City, which allows the quarters here and the whole of Northern Ireland to be thought of as a digital content hub, to be in connection with one of the key content hubs and development centres of creativity in the island of Britain, which gives us a critical mass which should put us in a position to compete even more with the other people in the world in this space.
Today's world is actually pretty simple. We have, for the most part, most people plug into Openreach and they get their internet connections, their telephone connections and everything else at one point or another through Openreach. If you live in the cities, you may well be able to pick up a Virgin Media cable connection, but the world is changing, and it's changing quite a lot. Ofcom has already said it would rather be a little bit less hands-on and a little bit further out of the way if it could be. But also, the big three are now being joined by quite a large number of other local access providers, people other than BT and Virgin. We've got the Titanic Quarter here, we've got different projects in Yorkshire and in Bournemouth, and you know, these are creating some challenges.
Probably not a lot of people know Dhaka. It's actually a fun year for us. We exist 100 years. It's the wire and cable company, draad en kabel in Dutch. So that's where the Dhaka comes from. That's what we do. But we have evolved in all those 100 years and followed innovation. And now the next innovation and next big wave we see is fiber to the home.
So the internet has been around for 14 years. What is the actual problem? This is what 14 years of lasers do. But what's really happening is the convergence of all of these different platforms. So your TV is now your computer. Your computer is your laptop, your mobility, it all fits in your mobile phone. And all these devices are connected in together. So what's the actual problem? Well, we can take a couple of looks at the problem. The first is a technology look. And here we have a quick diagram of many different types of services. They all need different bandwidths.
When we made our recent announcement, our recent financial announcement, we announced that we were investing a further $1 billion. I think sort of we all lose sight of this number of billion, but we were investing a further $1 billion on top of the 1.5 billion we have committed to bring fibre to 2/3 of the UK premises by 2015. It's also interesting that 2.5 billion is an investment by BT, unaided or unassisted by any government department. But that represents an investment of about somewhere around about £40 for every woman, man, child in the UK. Big investment. As part of that investment, we're going to deploy 30,000 new cabinets and over 1,000 exchange areas.
I suppose what I want to learn from today is how we can achieve greater speeds of broadband within rural areas for the benefit of our businesses. We don't want our business to be at a disadvantage. We feel there's a digital divide at the minute, and we don't want that to grow even further.
With a simple innovation, you can change the paradigm of how these networks can be deployed. And by changing that paradigm, you suddenly start to open up opportunities that are really vast that you couldn't have in mind beforehand. They bring down the cost significantly, they increase the simplicity of how you plan your networks, how you actually deploy your networks, how you connect your customers to your networks.
But of course, from the health service point of view, it's not just the convenience of having the patient at home being monitored. There are huge savings for the health service that can then be redeployed. So it's about greater efficiency and how the next generation networks are going to help government-funded bodies to achieve what they want to achieve at a much lower cost and a much higher delivery of service.
And people, right at the beginning of this, always want to know what's the business case. How does this make sense? How on earth are we going to be able to afford all this money and have it make sense down the line? And that's where they start. That's the very first question that people ask. But the real question that they should be asking is, what are the real objectives?
You know, in 10 years' time, we're going to look back at this conference and think, what are they talking about? Why are they just doing it? Why is it taking so long?